What's happening, Reject Nation? Greg Alba here.
I'm John.
We are going to watch an honest trailer I'm very much looking forward to. Every Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh, boy.
I love the Screen Junkies take on every Wes Anderson movie, and we said in there that we were hoping they'd do more of these director cuts. Christopher Nolan's one you could definitely do.
Oh, yeah. He's got earmarks, man.
I also wanted to mention, too, I just got invited on Movie Fights for this week. It's not 100% confirmed yet, but I'm supposed to be going on Movie Fights this Thursday. It's live. I'm nervous. Last time I was on it, I'll admit I didn't do that great of a job. I had good picks, not good arguments. I've seen countless movie fights since then. I am ready to compete on that show. Don't know who I'm going up against or what the topics are yet as of filming this video, but I'm really hoping you guys to tune in, show some support, show some love, vote for my choices just because I'm asking you to. Tune in. Anyway, let's watch this video in the meantime. 1, 2, 3.
Because of your contributions to our Women in Film charity event, you've unlocked an honest trailer for every Christopher Nolan movie.
Sweet. That is the Hans Zimmer score for every Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh, yeah.
You first knew him as the guy who made Memento. Then he was the guy who saved Batman. Now, revisit the retroactively perfect films of the internet's god of cinema. Makes sense, because only God could get The Dark Knight Rises voted the 66th best movie. Every Christopher Nolan movie. Suit up, very literally, with Christopher Nolan, a visionary director whose actual vision is red-green colorblind, which explains why so much of his work is tinted blue. Watch as he carefully constructs a series of intricate puzzle boxes full of non-linear storytelling, in-camera technical wizardry, plot twists that range from holy crap that was mind-blowing to holy crap that blows, and intense percussive musical scores that will make you scream, "What? I can't hear you!" This man is a genius! Meet a Christopher Nolan protagonist. He's a well-dressed white dude with brushed back hair, kind of like Christopher Nolan. Find this intense stoic man who's likely some kind of thief, criminal, or vigilante, but who still follows a strict code.
Never follow the same person twice.
Never show anyone.
Never recreate places from your memory. Always imagine new places.
I have one rule. And that's the rule you'll have to break.
As he
Interesting.
reckons with a tragedy in his past, whether it's the death of his wife,
I remember my wife dying.
the death of his wife,
Once I had a wife. She was taken from me.
the death of his wife,
You won't bring your wife back.
the death of his wife,
The doctors would have been able to find a cyst in my wife's brain.
He has
before she
grieving
died,
characters.
afterwards.
the death of his wife. Or, when Nolan really wants to shake things up, the death of his girlfriend. That's a lot of dead wives. What could it all mean?
The other fascinating thing about you is that you work with your lovely wife, Emma.
Masterfully crafted films that are as cold and remote as the icy tundras they feature, where human emotions aren't so much felt as reasoned about.
I think positive emotion trumps negative emotion every time.
Love has meaning. Yes, social utility, social bonding, child rearing.
Fascinating.
People who have died. Where's the social utility in that?
And where time is just a toy to be played with, whether the story's told out of order, backwards and forwards simultaneously, through an interlocking series of flashbacks, in 3 separate levels of a dream where time moves at different speeds, in space where time is relative, or in World War II where time is just sort of mashed up to make things more suspenseful. And if you think it's all too complicated, I'll let Nolan break it down on a level you babies can understand.
That's basically the end of the movie. This stuff is the black and white stuff, and this is running backwards. What we do is we cut scenes in there, in there, in there, in there. You have flashbacks to a different timeline, some of which is color, some of which is black and white. The end of the film being sort of there, and those are the ones that relate to a parallel story.
See? Couldn't be simpler.
Memento.
So if you love cinema and enjoy being wowed by a true auteur, cheer for a man who is rightfully considered one of our greatest modern directors, whose sharp cinematic eye, incredibly talented pool of actors, and obsessive dedication to the craft of filmmaking have given birth to a rabid fan following that will ignore all the nice things we just said and focus on the jokey nitpicks, which will be taken 100% seriously.
You know I hate comedians.
He's one of the best filmmakers working today, okay? Is that not enough?
Why so serious?
Starring women who are secretly evil, Christian Bale in a miserable prison. Tan suits. Snowy layers. Rich guys buying things.
I'm buying this hotel. Company went public a week ago, and I bought most of the shares. I bought the airline.
So let's put a couple tables together. I'm not sure that they'll let us. Oh, they should. I own the place.
Clunky exposition.
Where
Oh,
is it?
yeah.
A clean slate, where you type in someone's name, date of birth. In a few minutes, they're gone from every database on Earth.
Now we're trapped in Fisher's mind battling his own private army, and if we get killed, we'll be lost in limbo till our brains turn to scrambled egg.
You're a well-educated man, Coop, and a trained pilot, and an engineer.
The Mask.
Would you like to see my mask?
This is your mask.
You're wearing a mask.
Just take off that mask.
You just take off your little mask.
It's like putting on a mask.
If you're working alone, wear a mask.
Let's mask up.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
Logan.
Whoops, wrong mask.
Yelling! Wrapped up in garbage bags! Where is he? You can't get in! Why can't you outthink him? Where are they? Where's the trigger? Oh. Rachel! Rachel! Oh, look at me! Ah!
Drowning.
Drowning. Oh.
Killer trains.
Whoa.
And
That's
a
right.
very emotional Michael Caine.
Fallon. What have you done?
Forgive me, Beth. And it also means losing someone that I have cared for since I first heard his cries echo through this house. I failed you.
Wow.
You trusted me. And I failed you.
He makes
Every
me cry every
Christopher
time I
Nolan
watch that.
movie. Okay, I'm sure you all know about the first letters in the characters' names in Inception spelling out dreams, but did you know that all the astronauts' initials in Interstellar spell out BRCMD, which can only be a reference to the TV show Doc, where Billy Ray Cyrus plays an MD, and his character's name was Clint Cassidy, CC. That has to be a reference to Charlie Chaplin, who was good friends with Edith Piaf, the singer of the song in Inception that's the cue for everybody to wake up. It all makes perfect sense. We're in a dream, man. No one's trying to wake us up. Hurry, before it's too late. The top just keeps spinning. I have to wake up. I have to. Piglins, why you be eating at my foot feeds? Pork chop sandwiches.
Brilliant.
My Little
Brilliant.
Pony is the best movie in all of history, even better than The Dark Knight. I have a not-so-okay feeling about this. Quarrel.
Man, great stuff here, Screen Junkies. Great stuff. I mean, there were some like obvious ones that are nitpicks. I felt like there was quite a few things that were like, well, those are just within the Batman movies. Like
Yeah,
the mask
I thought
thing
that
was
too.
just like, well, that's all primarily Batman. You
And
know?
of course they're going to talk about masks of
Yeah.
He's got one, all the villains have one, you know.
When they're talking about the rich guys part, like a lot of that's like the Batman films too, you know? Like it's a lot of Bruce Wayne lines.
I thought this one was still really clever, maybe not as deep as like the Wes Anderson one, because Wes Anderson has a more like out there and vivid style.
Yeah.
I feel like Nolan's maybe a little more subtle than that.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
But there were some still great things they pointed out here. I love their thing about every main character is a white male protagonist with slick back hair, kind of like Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, and a tan suit all the time with a dead wife, which I didn't pick.
The
that
dead
one up,
wife thing I never picked up on. That's one thing I love about what the Screen Junkies do here with these is they're funny. They're still an honest trailer, but they're also like film school-ish.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you're learning something here about what makes their films work, even though they're making fun of them and in a way mocking it, saying these Uzis repeating some tropes. At the same time, it's a big part of what makes his films work because it's not so in my face that I took notice of, oh yeah, there's like a dead wife in all his films.
Yeah. Well, that's, these are the earmarks of an auteur's style. And I kind of hope, I know these were like reach goals for their fundraiser, but I kind of hope they keep doing these. These are some of my favorite on his trailers, actually, when they break down somebody's whole filmography.
Oh yeah. There's one thing I know that Nolan likes to say a lot in his movies, which is, "That's more like it." Don Cobb likes to say it in Inception at one point to Ellen Page.
That's more like it.
Jonathan Crane says in Dark Knight.
That's more like it.
There's a third movie. I can't remember what one it is, but I remember I like noted this a while ago. It's like his repeat line. In a weird way, looking at this actually made me appreciate Dunkirk more, because Dunkirk's not my favorite film of his, but it's the one that's least filled with his typical tropes.
Yeah, aside from the time thing, you know.
Yeah, other than that, and like the landscape shots and whatever, the beautiful use of the IMAX cameras. Surprised they didn't really talk about that. The use of the IMAX cameras, because he was like the one who brought that to mainstream cinema.
Single-handedly brought the actual format, you know, not just a blow-up.
Because the Dunkirk doesn't really have in-depth characters, and a lot of this is making fun of the types of characters that there are here.
Hey man, there were probably a lot of dudes who lost their wives in Dunkirk.
Yeah, that's true.
I would have to imagine half those
trying to get home to their wives, yeah. Women who are secretly evil is a great one.
Memento. Far back as Memento
with Carrie Ann Moss. Yeah. They have that line here about emotion is not so much felt but reasoned about.
Where human emotions aren't so much felt as reasoned about.
That is actually a criticism I've heard about Nolan's films before. His movies are emotional, but they're also like this observant piece of emotions in some way. you know?
There's something where they don't like translate visually the character's emotion, but they're not devoid of like catharsis. It seems like the leads aren't always the most emotionally expressive characters.
No.
But there's always, he makes kind of romanticized movies, I feel like. There's always an element of, you know, the human spirit or love in there somehow.
I think that's how he gets away with some nitpicks. The Michael Caine ending in The Dark Knight Rises, for example, a lot of people point to that as like a really corny moment and kind of ridiculous. And why is Bruce Wayne there when he should be in hiding? And a logical observation, there's a lot of flaws, but his films are not really about logic sometimes. Even that moment, it's like kind of a poetic moment.
Of a dream almost.
Yeah, and
it's a fairy tale that way.
And it's all within his tone, and that's how he can get away with stuff like that. I think Dark Knight Rises had more of an issue with escaping that because of the logical rules set up by the prior installments.
Yeah.
Because that one, Dark Knight Rises, is very much like, you gotta let a lot of logic go for certain situations in that movie.
Yeah, you do. In a weird way, I almost feel like, because I mean, there are some intense emotional moments in all of his movies, but in ways, I feel like Dunkirk is maybe his most emotional movie, because the whole scope of the plot is just people who are exhausted and want to get home, so you can kind of feel that on everything. There's not so much of like, oh, this character's really slick and that character's really closed off. It's sort of everyone's thrown in this one situation. The exposition too.
The exposition for sure. I mean, his films kind of need it.
Yeah,
that's the thing about, like, when you watch Inception, if there was no exposition, I just see sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? You know?
Yeah,
I wouldn't know what's happening.
He does make plotty movies, I guess. I hadn't really focally thought about that.
But I think that's why his films kind of go hand in hand with that whole observation of emotion, because he's trying to like conveying the point home, especially in his bigger films. I mean, like that line from Dark Knight Rises is very expositional when it doesn't need to be.
My only gripe with pulling that particular shot is, I think the very next line is "sound a little too good to be true." So I'm like, in that context, I'm a little more forgiving. But there are a couple other shots they pull that are pretty on the money for that.
Well, he needs to be. That's the thing, or else we're going to be confused.
I mean, he's one of those filmmakers where I get it because there's so much going on. You know, that if this is important, I guess it's better that we know for certain.
Of course, for his audience to keep up with what the hell's going on. I would actually not like it if there was an exposition.
And I mean, some of that stuff being thinly veiled, I can forgive.
And the last thing is, I love their line about, you know, how audiences will stick to the nitpick jokes that they make here. Find ways to ding him, when he really is, in fact, one of the best filmmakers around. Because he is that filmmaker that I feel like more and more people are trying to take down now.
Yeah, well, I feel like if anybody gets lauded too much and is regarded with too much clout or whatever, you know, people are going to start picking out where their faults are. And hey, man, he's not a perfect filmmaker. There's stuff that he could do better. There's stuff that could be more well-rounded about his movies, especially now that he's gotten so huge that he can kind of do whatever he wants. wants. But I feel like, especially for a filmmaker of his caliber, there's a lot more good in his tool belt than not, for sure. And I mean, every film he releases practically is distinct at the very least.
Yeah, I think another trope he has too is like he does a lot of intercutting montages that I'm surprised they didn't put. Like they talked about the time.
Oh yeah, when you got a lot of like an ensemble piece where a lot of people are doing stuff at once, there's a ton of that.
It's in The Dark Knight too, when the mayor's being poisoned and the Joker's invading and looking for Harvey Dent. He does these intercutting and it's like it's handheld and then he'll switch to like a smooth shot. There's a lot of detailed things about his work, but they wanted to stick to things that are probably funny too. Like that's not something you can really make a joke about. All right, guys. Well, every Christopher Nolan movie right here. Great job on his trailers, man. You guys are great. Hopefully I do go on Movie Fights this Thursday. I'm a little nervous, but I got to redeem myself.
Oh, yeah.
You guys can subscribe to the Reject Nation. Click that notification bell to get notified every time one of our vids is up. And you can check us out on Patreon. Full-length TV show reactions, weekly Q&As, music video coverage. We'd love to have you become a Patronaject today.